piece of cardboard cut out, and that's going to replicate our little piece of plastic, and I'm just going to break cat apart by using a scissors to cut a teeny little notch in the back. That'll be handy later on. We've got a centre front notch at the back and the front of this, and we've just pinned them together, and we're going to just find that centimetre, drop the foot down, do a little bit of a back stitch, and then we're going to chuff around here, and with our centimetre. Now if anybody's wondering why this these two pattern pieces are cut so neatly, I was just talking about using the cutting wheel and the cutting mat. If anybody's thinking of doing a bit of volume, or if you've been a quilt maker or something like that, your cutting wheel is a good option, and it's quite speedy, and it's very accurate. Now, that's it, and you know there's a little cutter there, everyone does. Now what I'm going to do now is I'm going to flip this material over to one side, and I'm just going to drop my foot down, and this is my first stitch that I really want you to learn how to do, and it's a really good one. It's a top stitched seam, and so what I'm doing is I'm attaching the seam allowance to the bottom side of the piece. So I'm just going a couple of mil away from the initial seam. I'm going a little bit crooked, but guess what? Everyone's got to forgive me, because talking and chewing gum at the same time is too hard. So here we go, we're nearly there, chomping along. So again, if you're finding you're going off track, don't panic, because this is just for practice. So we're going all the way along there, and just always with the fingers and thumbs, just making sure that this is always on that side. Doesn't matter which side you do, but keep it on the same side all the way through. And then just a bit of backwards, or not, as the case may be. And then cut off your threads. And now that's the back, and that's your front. Now to tidy that up now, that strengthens your seam, and it's also going to make it look a bit more fancy. So the next thing you do is you just go around and you cut off, you leave about 3 mil there. And that seam, because you've done that second line, that'll stop it from fraying out, and then it'll just make it sit quite neatly. Now the next job is to flip it out the other way, like this, and we've got our notches for the centre front of everything, and that is going to be the underside of the peak, and that is the top side. So the top side will be super clean. So we're just going to pop that in there like that, and we've got a centimetre, in theory, remaining at the back. Now sometimes you might find that your cardboard is just a bit too big, and that's not the end of the world. You can just carve it back a fraction so that it fits inside here, and then using your pins, you're just going to trap that into that section. So you've got your seam allowance. I would, if I wasn't trying to keep this from being a 16-hour saga, I would actually probably cut this back, but I won't now. And so do what it takes to get your centimetre seam allowance there, including cheat. Remember, this is not a game of cards. If you cheat and no one catches you, you're fine. Normally I would put the pins facing the other direction as well. So yeah, so this is meant to be fun, not stress. So that's what I'm getting at. And if you're finding your stress levels going up, just relax, get some scissors, cut it back so it fits, do what it takes so it fits. It's actually not too bad. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to make this into one piece, and then once that's made and we've got the band onto the pumpkin part, we're going to sew this onto the front of the band, and we've got that centre front mark there. So we're going to just start this end, and we've got our seam allowance of 1 centimetre, and if it's a little bit less, then just, as I say, cut the cardboard back, or run over it with your sewing machine because it's only cardboard. When it gets to be the plastic, it's got to be a little bit stiffer than that and a little bit flippy, and it is a bit awkward to do, but this is like a dry run for you on that front. So that's nicely trapped in there, and I will do a bit of a back stitch there. Oh, that's too slow, it's not responsive, this machine. So there you go, you've got to go all the way. So now when you come to sew this onto the hat, you've got your centre front mark there, and that will stand in for the plastic for later. So you can see it sits like that, and it's ready to go on your hat. Thank you.